Welcome back to the Morning Show here on Arise News. The 24th session of the Conference of the Parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, otherwise known as COP24, is currently holding in Poland. One of the most important tasks of the conference is to work out and adopt a package of decisions ensuring the full implementation of the Paris Agreement of 2015. Now, the Paris Agreement is an agreement within the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, dealing with greenhouse gas emissions mitigation, adaptation and finance with a long-term goal of substantially to reduce the risk and effects of climate change. Well, joining us now to discuss how we all can be involved in making the environment a safer place to live is Jennifer Uchendu and documentary photographer Bernard Carlo. Good morning.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
On the morning show.
Let's
start with you, Bernard. So you are a documentarian.
Yeah.
Okay, how did you get involved with your program?
It's already established. I'm a documentary photographer. I'm based in Lagos, Nigeria. She reached out to me sometime last year about her Dreams Are Valid. That's the name of the NGO. So the goal was to train a couple of girls in the Niger Delta, like 10 of them, and arm them with knowledge in photography, so that they can tell stories of their neighborhood. Because we know the major challenge we have with environment, pollution. It's over there. You have gas flaring, you have pollution in the water, so you have soot and all sorts. So when she reached out to me, it just made sense, because it's something that I felt there was a need to lend a hand, to lend my voice to. So
Is there a school that you guys are currently working with in the Niger Delta?
It's not the school. They were, the girls were selected randomly.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, how much of an impact is, it's photography, it's taking pictures. These people are already known to this environmental pollution, but you're coming in with photography. How much of a difference does that make?
Well, for me, I just wanted young people to start thinking of how they can use their creative passion to make a difference, basically. So we're used to pointing hands to government, like, what's this person doing? But if you're able to see these stories in a new light and to see what another young person like yourself is doing, it just sparks something in you, like, okay, I too can make a difference, I can make a change. And there's something about documentary photography that I've learned, that you're telling stories about your everyday life. You're not putting Photoshop or editing. This is what people are living, and it just shows a new side to life. Like, that sometimes we in Lagos, it looks like we live in a bubble. We don't know what's happening out there. But this photography is like showing to light, like, what's really happening. And it brings up that anger, like, we need to do something. We need to talk more about it. And even if it's just the awareness and the advocacy, I feel like it's enough, because it increases the conversations. It means that when you see someone talk about the Niger Delta, you relate it in your head that I've seen a photography, I've seen something, and then it just sparks something in you to not just want to be redundant about issues.
Yesterday, at a side event at the ongoing COP24, we saw a lot of youth who booed the US delegates. And their reasons are valid, because the US government, President Donald Trump to be specific, hasn't taken climate change seriously. Initially, he said it was a hoax. Now he says it's just some scientists who have very huge political scheming behind it. So you see the youth there taking actions. How much of a change has this brought, this project you have on? How much of a change has it brought about?
Well, so because we work locally in Nigeria, I've seen like an idea that went from just me to having over 200 volunteers right now. It means that there are young people who know that Nigeria has an environmental issue, a sustainable development issue, and they just want to lend a hand and make a difference. And for me, these are like my direct impacts, like these volunteers who are taking on the work, going to their communities. I mean, part of our projects are actually going to the streets of Lagos to talk to people about their pollution habits, for example. We call it the street conference. And with that, you're asking people, why exactly do you have to litter? Do you understand the impact of plastic pollution and all of that? The fact that I'm not doing doing this alone anymore. It's like I have like a whole team and community of volunteers who do this with me. It just shows that something has been done or something is being done. Of course, it will take a long time, but now we won't just accept whatever government gives us in terms of what's happening with infrastructure and waste management, climate change, and all of that. Now we're questioning. Now young people are asking questions like, what's your plan for climate change? What's your plan for the nationally determined contributions? What are your plans on Lake Chad? You know, we want to know these things. We want to know what's happening with the Niger Delta cleanup. We won't just like accept whatever the way it had been before. And for us, I think it's important because we realize that it's our future that's at stake now. So we have to like really like carry it on our head, so to say. Yeah.
We just saw some images on the screen displaying just now. And is there like specific areas that you train these girls to go and photograph? When you are those images from the girls, or are they yours?
The images, so a few of them are. Most of them, all of them are mine.
Yeah,
but the one that really caught my attention was the one where you had the silhouette of people and there was this fume and smoke behind.
Yes.
So that happened in Lagos here. It happened at Ojota.
Okay.
So sometime in the year there was there's the landfill there. The landfill caught fire, and we had this gaseous fumes everywhere, affecting, and there's schools around. There people live
residential houses. It was horrible.
Like that place is literally in the heart of the city, so it was terrible. And okay, I live not so far from the very spot, so when I heard about it, I saw it on social media, and I immediately dashed up there, and I took some pictures, created some images, and it was good to know to see that days after, as soon as I put out the images, a lot of people, they saw this thing themselves, so they jumped on it. It was on social media. They were using the images, and I had like 2 weeks after the state government decided to move the landfill from there to outside the city. So. Like she mentioned, it's important to raise this conversation.
Yes.
For the longest time, we've been very nonchalant about the environment, and it just doesn't make sense. How will you portray every other thing and neglect where you stay? Like if you you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, you know. So I wanted to say something in terms of what you've just raised about the protests and things like that. Yeah. I mean, we know social media is such an amazing tool. Is there anything that your advocacy is doing to have those images displayed on social media to try to have more awareness with this environmental pollution?
Well, definitely. We know that for social media is more of awareness, but what happens to the groundwork? Like, how do we actually get the stakeholders and the government who need to be like involved in these things, who need to invest money? And so we do a lot of awareness on social media. Like Susty Vibes is always tweeting, you know, posting, trying to make the idea of sustainability relatable for young people. And part of what we do is also pop culture, you know, just breaking it down to simple terms, using comics, you know, really easy concepts that young people can relate to and get to talk about the conversations more. So you see someone littering, what do? We start a campaign. We started this hashtag called Stare Down on Pollution. You know, it has had a lot of people tweet about it, where we just don't want to do anything about people littering. We don't need the government to come and tell that person. We can be that government for the person, basically. And when people realize the impact of that pollution or that plastic in like our marine life, the fact that the fish we could be eating has plastic in it, like thinking about it, you get angry and you want to do something. So social media has helped us to really spread the word and obviously to get our volunteers. So we put out like a call for volunteers and people see it on social media and they are applying. So yeah.
Indeed, there's so much government can do, but we also have a role to play. President Muhammad Buhari was one of the leaders who opened the COP24 ongoing. He gave a speech. He says Nigeria is committed to reducing emissions. But when you look at Lagos, you mentioned Lagos earlier. We've seen Lagos dirty in recent times. And I remember the just concluded World Cup. There was a scenario when Senegal played a match. And after the match, we had Senegalese supporters cleaning up the stadium. Here, we see Lagos dirty. We see people able to throw out things out of their moving vehicles. Do you think Nigerians are committed to having a clean environment? I mean, the people themselves.
Well, I feel like we're not there yet, but we do want a clean environment. So, I mean, I've been in conversations where people would say, I mean, we need to give the lawnmower woman who's cleaning a job, so that's why we litter. Like, we still have a mindset problem where we want a cleaner environment, but we don't know that we need to take on the responsibility. We think it's just a government thing to ensure that we have a clean environment. I mean, you drank the plastic bottle, you should throw it in a bin. Why should you have to throw it somewhere and expect someone to pick it up? So with time, and that's why we started the community outreach, where we're actually going to have one-on-one conversations with people. Sometimes they say to us, like the PSPs or the people who are meant to pack the waste don't come early and all. And we also relate it back to the stakeholders to say, okay, this is not working, this system is not working, you need to do something about it. And social media has been amazing too, where we take a picture of a dump site and we tag all the people who need to like fix it, and then they take action, sometimes not immediately. And then there's also the fear of an outbreak, like a disease could come up from all of this waste. So it's a really big issue, and I'm glad that Nigerians are angry about it, but there's that blame game that has been there for a long time. But we need to start taking up responsibility. Like, if I see someone littering, I should be able to tell that person what you just did is wrong. And I do it all the time. And I share ways that I do it on social media so that people can also imbibe. Like, you don't need to be rude about it. You don't need to police people, but just explain to them that this singular act you just did has a like reciprocal effect that you don't know how far-reaching it can be.
All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm sure your program is non-for-profit.
Yes.
So how do you get funding?
Well, so we apply for a lot of grants. There's like, we appeal for donations, crowdfunding, and then we have to sell our branded products. Yeah, basically.
Well, I wish you guys good luck, and thank you so much for joining us on this show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. It's time now for a short break. When we return, Arise News analyst Emmanuel Ifeanyi will join us to review some of the newspapers. Stay with us.